Dear me, Justin, a messy situation which has very quickly developed at Hull City.
Yeah, it is messy. I have a sympathetic yet hard view on this. If the two could possibly marry each other, I understand running a business is very difficult, and certain things can happen that will influence your day-to-day running of a business. There is an insane amount of juggling that needs to be done, so I do sympathise. However, importantly, in the current ownership climate where there is creative accounting, just piss-taking, and one or two rogue owners, I think the EFL coming down on Hull for this, I think is justifiable, and I would hope that the situation does get upheld, and Hull still have that window ban. That for me is the right thing. Is essentially saying there's little room for error here, and if there is error, there will be repercussion. But
why do you think that?
Because Hull have failed to, they failed in their obligation to pay, and again with the cash flow issues, yes, they're relying on other clubs to pay Hull, to pay the club for players that they've sold. But should that be a reliance? Should that be something that owners are relying on, on a week-to-week basis? No, I think the EFL are basically saying there's no room for error here. There should be no room for error. And whilst I don't think Illa Charlie is a bad owner, I think you've got to make examples. Derby went through it. Reading have been through it. You've got to make examples of clubs who do not, I'd say, abide by the rules.
Yeah, but I think that's fair. I think that's fair, Justin. And the owner seems pretty relaxed about the whole scenario, and maybe this will get resolved pretty quickly. But I will admit I've been growing more and more suspicious of Adjon Illa Charlie for a while. He started off well when he came in, didn't he? He was doing things like paying for fans' transport to away games and stuff like that, all these little token gestures. But over time, you do start to wonder whether this guy actually has his head screwed on. You just have to look at some of the decisions they've made over managers over the years for a start. But I always see the term cash flow problems as a big red flag whenever it comes to owners, because I've said this about plenty of owners in the past. You never get sensibly run clubs having these cash flow problems. Maybe it was just an administrative error or something like that, I don't know. But I am increasingly worried about Hull under this owner.